Welcome back to another episode of the Educational AD Podcast. We'll be back with today's guest in just a moment, but first let's hear from our podcast sponsors. We want to thank Violet Defense for their support of the Educational AD Podcast. Violet Defense is dedicated to protecting our world from germs by bringing the power of UV disinfection to everyday spaces. Their patented technology enables them to harness the power of the sun to incorporate ultraviolet light into products and environments like never before. Whether you're ready to implement existing products, or if you'd like to explore researching and developing a custom deployment of their technology for your school's athletic facilities, Violet Defense has the solutions and the experience you need. Go to violetdefense.com for more information about this tremendous product. We also want to thank Sideline Interactive. We've got a Sideline Interactive video score table in our gym, and it is fantastic. You really need to check them out. You know, it's becoming harder and harder to fund an athletic department these days, but Sideline Interactive's indoor scoring tables and video boards can generate $10,000 or more every single year, while also creating excitement in the gym and the ultimate game day experience for your student athletes. Go to sidelineinteractive.com or call 832-786-0302 to schedule a live web demo. You can also email them at sales@sidelineinteractive.com and find out exactly what these fantastic products can do for you. That's sales@sidelineinteractive.com. You won't be disappointed. We also want to thank Wall of Fame by Vital Signs. You know, they are on a mission to bring your school's legacy to life. They provide a variety of interactive touchscreen consoles and an extensive library of templates to make it easier than ever to recognize the athletic achievements of your students, both past and present. For ideas on how to showcase your school's diverse history along with your proudest moments, visit vitalsignswalloffame.com. Or to learn more and get started with your own digital Wall of Fame tribute, call them at 614-981-3589 or shoot them an email at sales@vitalsignswalloffame.com. That's sales@vitalsignswalloffame.com. We also want to thank Huddle for their support of the podcast. At Huddle, we power sports. More than 180,000 teams, including some of the best in the world, are using Huddle to elevate the performance of their athletes and their teams using video and analytics. Huddle is the complete performance platform. They have online tools, mobile and desktop apps, smart cameras like the Huddle Focus. Of course, there's analytics and a whole lot more. Huddle's built for every level of play. If you're coaching a club or a youth program, you need Huddle. Of course, high schools and colleges have been using Huddle for years, and even professional teams are using Huddle to improve their play. You're in pretty good company with over 6 million users, including most of your student athletes, a lot of their parents, and the coaches of the college and university teams that you're trying to get your kids recruited to. If you want to find out more about what Huddle can do for you and how your school can become a Huddle school, go to huddle.com and talk to their professionals. Remember, at Huddle, we power sports. We also want to thank Athletic Surveys by Lifetrack for their sponsorship of the Athletic Director's Toolbox segment of the podcast. Athletic Surveys by Lifetrack are a quick, easy, and affordable way for you to collect comprehensive data that allows you to evaluate and improve your entire athletic program. Athletic Surveys by Lifetrack also gives you access to the 95% of the players and the parents who love your program, and it gives them a voice to help demonstrate the importance that a positive athletic experience has for them. Go to athleticsurveys.com and check out their testimonials, and then give them a call at 1-800-738-6466, or you can email them at info@athleticsurveys.com to get started. If you've never used a survey to check the pulse of your parents and players, you really need to check these folks out. Athletic Surveys by Lifetrack. Let them help you take your athletic program from good to great. And we want to thank our good friends at Hometown Ticketing, a leading digital ticketing provider to schools and colleges. You can find out more at hometownticketing.com. Hometown Ticketing, simple and easy online ticketing. Welcome back, everyone, to another episode of the Educational AD Podcast. We're going to Ohio today and visit with Joey Day. He's a certified athletic administrator, and he's the athletic director at Marysville High School in Marysville, Ohio. Joey, welcome to the podcast.
Thanks, Jake. Appreciate you having me on. I'm happy to be here and to talk with you, about the AD world today.
Oh, absolutely. We're excited to hear what's going on in your part of the country. For our listeners, we're recording this on November 30th, so you're going to be listening to it in a pretty timely manner. Coach, we always like to let our listeners have a chance to get to know our guests. So tell us a little bit about yourself, where you grew up, where you went to school and college, and how your path has led you to Marysville.
Yeah. So I grew up in a very small town in Amish country in Northeast Ohio in Holmes County, and went to school at West Holmes High School. So in my class, roughly about 200 kids in that class. I was a two-sport athlete. I played baseball and basketball. My primary sport was baseball, which I kind of springboarded my career into. So after my playing days at the high school level, I went to Ashland University in Central Ohio as well, and went there initially as a walk-on for baseball. Had a pretty short career there. And that's when I got into the coaching realm. I went back to my alma mater and coached there for a couple of years. I got to be a part of a program that made the first state run in 64 years. So that was a pretty special moment to be able to get back to that. And then coached at Worcester High School, just a little bit north of there, before I jumped up to the collegiate ranks, where I coached at Baldwin Wallace University, a Division III institution in Northeast Ohio. And in between there, I knew that eventually I wanted to get into this type of industry. It's kind of what I focused on all the way through college. So my undergrad was in sport management with minors in business and coaching. And so as I went through school, I kind of dove into everything I could and worked in the athletic department at Ashland University. Worked as the mascot my senior year. Actually, I was Tuffy the Eagle, which was a pretty cool experience. And as I said, I got into coaching. So once I finished up, I got my first opportunity to get into athletic administration as an assistant AD at Smithville High School in Northeast Ohio as the assistant AD and strength and conditioning coach. And that's where I kind of fell in love with this industry the most. And from there, I've kind of springboarded into a few positions. I got my first real AD job after finishing my coaching career at Baldwin Wallace University, and started out at Harvest Prep in Central Ohio, a small private school of about 100 kids. And that was in 2016. Spent a year there before going to Northwest Ohio, where I was at Kenton High School, and I was the AD there for 2 years. And now I'm working on year 3 here at Marysville High School. So it's been a good experience of going from small school to now a very big school, and everything in between.
You bring up some really good points. Nowadays there's so many programs at both the undergraduate and the graduate level that focus on, sports management, sports administration. So not only did you have a chance to take those courses, but you also mentioned just a wide range of experiences that have helped you along the way. I remember 100 years ago when I was an undergrad, there was one course that we took in that old PE major. I was actually PE and health, administration of physical education and athletics, one course. And now they have an entire, degree program. Very, very cool stuff. Talk a little bit about that transition from the small school to the big school. What sort of challenges, what sort of, surprises did you have?
Yeah, I think first and foremost is, your roles are going to change a little bit. Being an AD is being an AD. No matter what school you're at, you're going to face a lot of the similar issues. But as you get into larger programs, more of on the administrative role, a lot of your time is dedicated to just making sure that all of the pieces underneath you are working correctly. When I started out at Harvest Prep, I did everything from start to finish, from mowing the fields to lining the baseball field for the games that day, cleaning the trash out of the stadium, and everything in between. But now getting to this point of being at Marysville Division I program, which Division I is the highest in our state, it's more about being able to delegate and manage, the working parts that are, doing everything around you. And I think it's also just providing those around you the opportunity to take on those roles, trusting them to do their jobs. I'm a very OCD person. I like things done a certain way. So it's never easy for me to just let things go, but I know the importance of, having a work-life balance and being able to keep things, in that way. So it was important for me to be able to just hand duties off to individuals that, I could trust could do it the right way and do it effectively.
Yeah, you bring up another very good point going back to your experiences there. I remember, driving the tractor, mowing the fields, painting them with an old gypsum, chalk machine. I was even carrying the aluminum irrigation pipes, to water. But it gives you a great perspective as you are delegating those duties to other individuals. And like you said, trusting them to do the job that exactly how demanding that is. Very cool stuff. For listeners, we're visiting with Joey Day. He's a certified athletic administrator, and he's the director of athletics at Marysville High School in Marysville, Ohio. We'll be back with some more, but let's take a quick break and hear from one of our sponsors. We want to thank Huddle for their support of the Educational AD podcast. At Huddle, we power sports. More than 180,000 teams, including some of the best in the world, are using Huddle to elevate the performance of their athletes and their teams using video and analytics. Huddle's the complete performance platform. They have online tools, mobile and desktop apps, smart cameras like the Huddle Focus. We've got a Huddle Focus in our gymnasium, and our basketball and volleyball coaches just love it. Of course, there's analytics and a whole lot more. Huddle's built for every level of play, starting with club and youth programs up through high school and college teams, and even professional teams are using Huddle to improve the play of their athletes. You're in pretty good company with over 6 million users, including your student athletes, a lot of their parents, and of course, the college and university coaches that you're trying to get your kids recruited to. If you want to find out more about Huddle and how your school can become a Huddle school, go to huddle.com and talk to their professionals. Remember, at Huddle, we power sports. Welcome back, everyone. We're visiting with Joey Day, certified athletic administrator at Marysville High School in Ohio. Joey, in our profession, we always talk about the importance of leadership and particularly mentorship. So share with us the mentors that you've had in your life. Maybe they're family members or coaches you had growing up, or even people you've worked with or worked for. Who's helped you move along your career and get to this point at Marysville High School?
Yeah, Jake, I think that mentors are a really critical part of growth in any industry, and specifically with this one. I've been fortunate to work with a lot of great people in my short career in the last 7 years. But one that comes to mind specifically is Jerry Snodgrass, who's our former executive director of the OHSAA. When I was still coaching at Baldwin Wallace University, I decided to go to the national conference. This was in 2014. And I didn't really know a lot of ADs at the time. I knew that I wanted to get into that realm, and that's the career that I wanted to pursue. A lot of people were telling me that it probably wasn't going to happen. I wasn't a teacher. I wasn't in school systems at the time. But I was adamant on trying to find ways to connect with people and knowing that that would probably help me. So when I went to Orlando that year, I saw Jerry in the lobby of the hotel and just went up and introduced myself, and we had a brief conversation, and I stayed connected with him, pretty much consistently after that conference. And he's actually helped me get my last 2 positions in the school districts I've been in. So Jerry's been huge, just someone that I can talk to that's been a coach, has been an AD, has been, every position in between, that has helped me grow in this industry in a very positive way. But, along the way, the principals that I've had, Tim Kibe, who was my principal at Smithville High School, he gave me a lot of experience, and told me a lot of different things that helped me grow. As a 22-year-old, as an assistant AD, you have no idea what's going on most of the time, and you're trying to kind of navigate through, an industry that has a lot of people that are much more experienced. So he helped keep me grounded a little bit and just keeping my emotions in check. In athletics, where there's a lot of emotions and a lot of people that you're trying to keep on the right side of things between parents and coaches and your student athletes. So just being able to go into his office and have conversations and sometimes vent about some of those struggles that we all face in this world was really beneficial to me at an early stage that I've been able to carry on, to this point.
Oh, again, you hit on a really good point of, being able to reach out directly to people. And going back to your initial mentor, you walked up to this individual at, the NIAAA conference. Let's talk a little bit about that. How'd you get involved with your state association? And then again, your journey so far with NIAAA. Go and share that with our listeners.
Yeah, I think something that if you're looking into getting into the AD world or any job, really, the most important thing is being able to network and meet people. We hear the saying all the time, it's not what you know, it's who you know. And I think that is a great starting point. Obviously, you've got to have some follow through, and it's what you know after you meet that individual that's going to help you secure things. But being able to connect with people that have done it for a long time that are successful. I tell people, if I'm the smartest person in the room, I need to get out of that room, right? So I try to really connect with experienced individuals that I've seen do great things and try to mimic them a little bit while also creating, my own way of doing my business. So I knew that it was going to be critical for me to get out of my comfort zone. Flying to Orlando as a college baseball coach and not really knowing anybody there was a little bit of a risk. I knew I was going to just kind of be in rooms that people that didn't know who I was, but I had to be vulnerable and go up and just introduce myself and build those connections. And I think that's really helped me to this point. I still have conversations with many people that I met for the first time at that conference, including Jerry Snodgrass, and just being able to get yourself out of that comfort zone, knowing that most people in this industry want to help you too. And that's something that I've really focused on since my time there is always trying to pay it forward. It's not about reinventing, new things and always creating new ideas. It's really just trying to take what other people have done successfully and catering it to what you're going to need within your position, your district, and really, trying to cater it that way. But the state association, the national conference, the state conference, those are great opportunities to just talk to people in a more low-key situation, and being able to get some feedback on how they got where they are and really how you can kind of push your career forward, based on those things that you get from them.
Yeah, you just gave a great public service announcement for NIAAA certification, and I wouldn't be doing my job as a longtime member of that committee if I didn't put you on the spot a little bit. Where are you in the process for taking that next step in getting your CMAA?
Yeah, so I'm very big on continual growth, both from a personal and a professional standpoint. So I've taken all the necessary coursework. So at every opportunity that I've had within our summer institutes, as well as our fall workshops, I've taken the courses that I need to. So now it's just getting that final project and determining what we're going to do with that to get to that CMAA. But I'm pretty close. And I've worked really hard, I think, in a short span, like I said, in 7 years to try to get to that point. Not that that's necessarily going to benefit us from a financial standpoint, but I do think it shows that we're continually working to provide a great service to our student athletes, to our communities, to our school districts and our athletic departments. So it's something that I think is really critical, always pushing to learn new things and find new ways of improving and growing. And that's something really special that the NIAAA, and specifically for me, the OIAAA, has provided in my young career.
I mean, again, that's a great, shout out to the NIAAA and the certification program. Thanks for doing that. For listeners, we're visiting with Joey Day. He's a certified athletic administrator and the director of athletics at Marysville High School in Marysville, Ohio. We're going to be back with some more, but let's take another quick break and hear from one of our sponsors. We also want to thank Sideline Interactive. You know, it's becoming harder and harder to fund an athletic department these days, but Sideline Interactive's indoor scoring tables and video boards can generate $10,000 or more every year, while also creating excitement in the gym and the ultimate game day experience for your student athletes. We've got a Sideline Interactive video scoring table in our gymnasium, and it is a fantastic product. We use it not just for games, but for pep rallies, signing ceremonies, and a lot more. You really need to check it out. Go to sidelineinteractive.com or call them at 832-786-0302 to schedule a live web demo and see their tables and boards in action. You can also email them at sales@sidelineinteractive.com. That's sales@sidelineinteractive.com and find out what their fantastic products can do for you. You won't be disappointed. Welcome back, everyone. Coach, now's the time where you get to brag a little bit about your school. One of the things we like to do with the podcast is share best practices. So what are some things that you're doing at Marysville that when you sit back and take a look, you can say with equal parts pride and humility, boy, we really do a great job with this. Do you have some best practices you can share?
Yeah, I was very fortunate when I came to Marysville to come at a time where there was a huge investment in our extracurricular activities, in our sports programs, from a facility standpoint and in everything in between. So when I got here, we were kind of in the end process of doing a $10 million renovation to our outdoor facility, which is for football, track and field, lacrosse, boys and girls soccer. So getting to be a part of that construction phase as we were finishing that up. It took a little longer than anticipated. We were supposed to finish the first week of August, and some things kind of fell through with construction issues, and we didn't open up until late October. But we've got probably, I would argue, one of the best outdoor facilities in the state of Ohio now, and we get to reap the benefits of our kids, getting to practice and compete in a very high level stadium that looks more like a collegiate style stadium. But we also get to show that off for the multitude of events that we really hold there. We've held state Final Fours for football, regional and district finals for soccer, and everything in between. So that was one project that was really special that I got to be a part of towards the end. We just finished in September a $1.5 million renovation of our gymnasium. So, that was a new facility that we just opened up for volleyball, for wrestling, for basketball, that our kids really enjoy. And what I think it really boils down to, Jake, is we want to celebrate our athletes and give them the best opportunity to compete at a very high level. And that's something that you can see in our district that we've put a lot of investment into. We have digital scoreboards in our outdoor and our indoor facility, and we get to do a lot of really cool things with that during our games that you don't necessarily see at a lot of high school events. We try to kind of imitate what happens at the collegiate and professional level with a lot of our events. So we have a media guy that's doing a lot of different commercials and transitions and special things that are highlighting our kids during the games, as well as our special intros and things like that. We really want our experience when you come to our events to be more than just the game, right? And I think that's what really pushes people to come to those events. There's so many things going on in our world these days. And so being able to provide a better game day experience for our fans and our community is really important, but also for our kids. Kids are being stretched in a lot of different directions. Club sports have really started to infiltrate, the high school level a lot. So we really want to provide more than just, what the game is. And we know that's important to our kids and our families. So we try to make that really special. And again, really celebrating our athletes. We're big here at Marysville, especially in the athletic department on our social media footprint. We really try to broadcast the great things that are going on both on the field and off the field, being able to celebrate what our coaches are accomplishing, kids are doing both academically, athletically, as well as in the community. And that's something that I think is really important in today's society. So, we really try to set those standards that we want other districts to follow. And my motto within our athletic department is it's #be the benchmark. So we want others to try to chase what we're creating and what we're doing. So we're always looking at new and innovative ways to raise the bar on what we're doing here in Marysville.
Yeah, you use a great term, improve or celebrate the athletic experience, which is not just, and you alluded to this, it's not just the student athletes, it's the fans, it's the parents, it's the entire school. There's no other program in a school that has more kids involved in it outside of academics, of course, than the athletic department. And so it makes sense to do the things that you mentioned to improve that athletic experience for everyone. Great, great stuff. We're going to be back with some more wisdom from our guest, Joey Day, certified athletic administrator from Marysville High School in Ohio. So please stay with us. This is the Educational AD Podcast. We also want to thank Wall of Fame by Vital Signs. The FIAAA has a Wall of Fame video board for our organization's Hall of Fame, and it is really cool. So please check them out. Wall of Fame by Vital Signs is on a mission to bring your school's legacy to life. They provide a variety of interactive touchscreen boards along with an extensive library of templates to make it easier than ever to recognize the athletic achievements of your students, both past and present. For ideas on how to showcase your school's diverse history, along with your proudest moments, go to vitalsignswalloffame.com or learn more and get started with your own digital Wall of Fame tribute. Call them at 614-981-3589 or shoot them an email at sales@vitalsignswalloffame.com. That's sales@vitalsignswalloffame.com. We're back with Joseph Day, certified athletic administrator at Marysville High School in Ohio. Coach, we've been asking athletic directors this particular question since we started doing these interviews. So here goes. In this day and age, how can an athletic director do a better job of being socially aware for their student athletes, their coaches, their community? Do you have any advice for us?
Yeah, I think what's really important, Jake, is that you go out and you ask the questions that need to be asked of those in your community, those in your district, as well as your student athletes and your coaches, and really taking that feedback and putting it to practice, right? So it's easy to sit into a meeting and hear things that people are saying, but then when that meeting is over, nothing is done with it, right? But I think it's important not only for those that are investing into our programs to be heard, but also that they're seeing the progress that's happening from those conversations. Certainly, we have plenty of conversations that bring up things that might not be valid to our department or any of our programs, but being able to rely on those in your community that are successful in other industries and those that are really committing themselves to your programs and trying to help them grow. It's really important that their voice is heard. And we really try hard to incorporate that here at Marysville. But it's asking the questions and simply listening to, those that are investing the time. I sit down with our coaches and I tell them, you don't work for me, I work for you. And I'm trying to be a servant leader that's helping you grow. And by you growing, it's going to help our kids and in our programs grow as well. So, I think it's really important to have that aspect of being able to listen and hearing out those that are, invested into your programs. But it's also understanding your approach and how you carry yourself. I think body language is one of the most important aspects in any industry, but it's something that as a coach and as a leader in an athletic department, you really have to be aware of, not just in terms of those that are around you, but how you're carrying yourself. When you're at events, and we know that most ADs are at a ton of events, so they have the opportunity to interact with a lot of people and see people and build relationships, so that body language is a critical piece of it. If you're someone that people feel are unapproachable, those conversations and those questions that maybe need to be asked or the things that need to be discussed might never get to the table. So really focusing a lot on that is going to help with that social awareness thing. And as young ADs, I think, I was guilty of this. I was a little sheltered and wanted to put a wall up a little bit. It's hard to trust a lot of people, but you have to work through some of that, filter through and find some authentic relationships that you can count on in this role so that you can be providing the best experience for your coaches, your athletes, and your community.
You touched on quite a few key points in there. Initially you talked about the community, extending beyond the school and the actual, the parents, the businesses, the people in that larger community. You talked about that, the whole idea of being accessible is, probably one of the initial steps in communication. If they're uncomfortable approaching you or asking that question, it's going to be hard to, open up to that individual and vice versa. So really, really cool stuff. Joey, I really appreciate you coming on the show today, but we're not quite done. In just a minute, we're going to come back and we're going to find out what you're going to put into our athletic director's toolbox, which is sponsored by Athletic Surveys. So for our listeners, please stick around. We'll be right back with the AD's toolbox, which again is sponsored by Athletic Surveys by Lifetrack. Once again, we really want to thank Athletic Surveys by Lifetrack for sponsoring the AD Toolbox segment of the podcast. Athletic Surveys by Lifetrack are a quick, easy, and affordable way for you to collect comprehensive data that allows you to evaluate and improve your entire athletic program. Athletic Surveys by Lifetrack also gives you access to the 95% of the players and parents who really love your program, and it gives them a voice to help demonstrate the importance that a quality athletic experience has for them. Go to athleticsurveys.com and check out their testimonials, and then give them a call at 1-800-738-6466, or you can email them at info@athleticsurveys.com to get started. If you've never taken a survey of your players or your parents, you're really missing out on some important information. Go to Athletic Surveys by Lifetrack and let them help you take your athletic program from good to great. Welcome back to the Educational AD Podcast. Again, we're visiting with Joey Day, Certified Athletic Administrator and the Director of Athletics at Marysville High School in Marysville, Ohio. Joey, this has been really cool. Getting a chance to get to know you. We connected, like people do these days, online a while back. But now we're going to find out what is going to go in your athletic director toolbox, which again, sponsored by Athletic Surveys by Lifetrack. What 3 items are going to go in Joey Day's athletic director toolbox?
That's a great question, Jake. I think first and foremost, it's know your why. And that's what I tell our coaches and even our athletes a lot of times. You have to understand why you're doing something, or you're not going to give your all for it and probably not continue to strive to chase that down the road. So understanding why you're doing what you're doing as a coach, as an athlete, as a leader, whatever that is, it's important to really understand that and to have that concept down. And then secondly, as an AD, it's all about having a plan and being organized. So preparation is really important, for anything that you're going to do. You've got to be on top of everything that you have going on. We're pulled in a million different directions and have tons of hats on. So, really having that preparation organization is going to be critical to growing and being effective in your job. And I mentioned this a little bit earlier, but it's really about being a continual learner. This world is constantly evolving. From 2013, when I first got into this, to now, things have changed dramatically when it comes to social media and, our game day operations and everything in between, from the logistics and compliance and all of that comes into being an AD. You have to be focused on continual growth and learning, new concepts and being innovative, or you're going to get left behind. So it's important to really be able to grasp new ideas and new concepts and taking those with you as you grow in your role. And within the next 5 to 10 years, I'm sure this role is going to be completely different than it is now. So just having that mindset that you've got to be willing to grow with the times and evolve to what our student athletes are, what our coaches are, what their needs are. That's how you're going to be able to put the best product out there.
Joey, those are really, really great tools. I love the why and the planning, the organization, just so critical. If one of our listeners wanted to reach out and pick your brain a little bit, what's the best way that they can get in touch with you?
As I mentioned, Jake, I'm big on social media. We have, our athletic accounts on Facebook and Instagram, and then I have my own Twitter account. That would be the easiest way, but certainly via email or my personal mobile device. I'm always happy to help those that.
Yeah, that's how you and I connected on social media. So can you go ahead and remind us all what your Twitter account is and maybe give your email address in case somebody wants to contact you directly?
Yeah, if you want to get a hold of me on Twitter, definitely like the follows, trying to get those boosted up. So MHS Monarchs AD is my Twitter account. And if you want to reach out via email, my email is joey.day@mevsd.us. If you go to our MarysvilleMonarchs.com athletic website, you can find that contact information as well. So again, happy to help out in any way that I can.
Okay, very cool. Joey Day, Certified Athletic Administrator, Marysville High School, Marysville, Ohio. Thanks so much for being on the podcast today.
Jake, I really appreciate the time and good luck the rest of the way. And thanks again for having me.
Well, are we going to see each other in Denver? You're going to make it to the NADC?
I will not be at Denver this year. I didn't sign up for the trip this year, just with the events that we've got going. It was going to be hard for me to get out there, but I'm hoping to make Nashville next year.
All right. Well, again, we appreciate everything you do for the profession. For our listeners, remember the Zoom recordings of these interviews are uploaded to the Educational AD Podcast YouTube channel. We appreciate you listening today. Come back again next time for another episode of the Educational AD Podcast. We also want to thank Hometown Ticketing, the leading digital ticketing provider to schools and colleges. You can learn more at hometownticketing.com. Hometown Ticketing, simple and easy online ticketing.